Well, this video is not going to be part 4 of working on the Galaxie. This is just going to be kind of a video about the car and how I found it and what my plans are with the car. And this is take 4, so I don't know. First one, the battery went dead. The second one, the memory card filled up. The third one, I had a phone call in the middle of the video. So we're going to attempt try number 4 for a video on this. So first off, this car was manufactured April 29th, 1966, and I guess it's Mawaha, New Jersey, which is in the Newark area. The color is medium sage gold metallic with a black vinyl interior. The engine code is X, which is a 352 4-barrel dual exhaust, 250 horsepower, 4,400 RPM, with 352 foot-pounds of torque at 2,200 RPM. It has the code 7 for the cruise-o-matic transmission, and it has code 1 for the axle, which is a 3.00 to 1 axle ratio, which will be a good axle for cruising. Maybe you can do some road trips in it next summer. Go to Hickory Corners to the car museum there or something for one of their car cruises or something, or take it up to St. Ignace for the antique auto show. Do a road trip with it. And I just kind of want to go over the car. The car was originally sold new in Florida. There's the state of Florida Highway Patrol inspection certificate dated September 1975. I don't know what the 9 means. If anyone knows it can decipher this, so I know what part of Florida this car was from, please let me know. The guy that I bought it from purchased it from the guy that bought it back from Florida. He apparently drove it back and just like this era car, and had a whole barn full of them, big pole barn. And he was getting up in the years, and some of the cars he had never really got to you know, like put a new top and repaint this car probably back then. And because the paint job's pretty poor. And he just never got to it, and there it sat for 41 years. So the guy I bought it from him with the intentions of restoring it, and I think he just was overwhelmed at the cost of having somebody do it, or you know, it was just more than what he could do, and you know, I don't think he had the wherewithal to really tear into it and restore it. I'm just going to walk around the car and show it as I yap. So that's kind of, you know, where he got it from. And then I found it on Craigslist, and in my search criteria I'd put in 1900 to 1981, and I would search in the $500 to $3,500 price range. And $3,500 doesn't buy a lot anymore in these type of cars, you know, in classic cars. And a lot of the cars I looked at, you know, they needed just a ton of work. And I don't want a car, yeah, they're all restorable. I looked at an Edsel station wagon I really liked. But the problem was it needed floors, it needed rear cargo floor, it was missing a lot of parts, the engine was stuck. It just needed an overwhelming amount of work, and I would have had more money into it than what the car would be worth. And this is a hobby. This restoring cars, doing things up like this, it's a hobby that I enjoy doing. You know, I've had people come up, well, why don't you just take the engine to a rebuilder? Well, what fun is that? I'm going to do the engine myself, and I enjoy doing that kind of stuff. It's relaxing, you know. For me to come out in the garage and putz with the car is just totally relaxing. And I have my house I got to maintain, my dad's house I got to maintain. I have a home inspection business, and I have a cottage that I, you know, that my family has that I look after too. You know, and so it's just kind of, you know, when I have time, I come out here and putz. It's relaxing to me. If I've had a stressful day, I can just come out here and relax. And even if things don't go right, it's still fun to just putz. And doing these videos just adds to the enjoyment of doing them. And then my dad can also see what I can do. You know, my dad used to see what I'm doing, I should say. My dad used to help me with my projects all the time. He was my sheet metal guy. you could take a car where it had rust wherever and make me a new panel that I could butt weld in, grind the welds, and go to paint, primer and paint. He would spend a couple of days making a panel that would fit absolutely perfect. And he has the patience I don't have, I guess, for that. So the goal with this car is I'm going to restore it. Probably better than what it rolled off the assembly line. The manufacturers didn't make show cars. They made cars that were usable, meant to be worn out, driven into the ground, and replaced. That was their... They didn't make cars that would last forever because they don't make money doing that. So what I do is, I'm going to take everything apart here when the engine's out. I'm going to take the steering gear off so I can seal it, reseal it. I'll take all the hydraulic brake lines off and, take as much apart, take the flaps off which need to be replaced, and get the heater core out. Probably take the power brake booster off. Then I can repaint everything in here nice and pretty. Clean it all up really good and paint it. Make new hydraulic lines. The control arm bushings are good. All the tie rod ends are good. I'll have to look at the ball joints when I get there. I'm going to go through the complete braking system. I think 67 was when Ford went to the dual master cylinder braking system. So I will put their dual system from a 67 master and proportioning valve, and I'll just bend up all the lines. I'll save the old lines for basic patterns. And so it's, it's going to get a proper restoration. I'll probably have to replace like the solenoid. Now the voltage regulator is way back in there, so I'll probably put a solid state one in. And I had a guy offer to trade parts for the air conditioner, and I'm all about horse trading. So yeah, I could use a battery tray. It'd save me from welding it up. I can weld up the inner fender. That's not a big deal. But I could weld this up too, but be a lot easier just put a battery tray in it, a good used one. The hood hinges will come off and get cleaned. But as far as like horse trading for parts, all the pot metal on the car. The headlight bezels are pretty nice, but like these, you can hardly read what's in there. The 352 emblems are pretty good. You can buy those reproduction. They're no big deal. The mirror, yeah, it could use a replacement. The salt air in Florida kind of, did the pot metal in. Thank God it didn't see road salt here in Michigan. You can kind of see this. So, and YouTube's kind of messed up the comments thing to where it's just been a battle to make sure I get all my comments. I do read them all and I respond to a lot of them. I like to yap about cars, so I might get a little long-winded sometimes, but needs a window regulator in the door, the vent window regulator. I think the parts for that are probably in the bottom of the door, so I could probably fix that. But those are just some of the things it needs. I mean, this chrome, if I could get good stuff, levers that are identical to these, I'd change them. But otherwise, I'm going to have to take them off and send them to a chromer. This needs to be done. This probably re-chrome. All this needs to be re-chrome because I think that's all convertible only. And the place I use, you get a basket. It's probably 2 feet by 2 feet or 2 feet by 3 feet. And it's one price for everything you can put in that basket for this little stuff. So I'll take all this little stuff off the car, and the window cranks and stuff like that will clean up. They're really nice. And the release handle here. So those are kind of some of the things as the exterior pot metal. I wouldn't mind having the correct brake warning light that mounted there for the parking brake that, would blink when because I use my parking brakes, and I haven't tried that because I don't have the brake drums off yet. The brake pedal does apply, but it doesn't pump up. I did put some fluid in the master cylinder, but I think the rest of the system's empty. I'll just show the interior unit again. And if the guy if you go to my about page and shoot me an email, and maybe we can work some things out, do some horse trading, because I got that, and I'll kind of give you an overview. And you can upgrade your everything under the hood to new modern stuff and still use that old unit under the dash. But these are the idler pulleys for the belt for the engine bracket. That's the 352 or FE engine bracket. The bearing in the compressor sounds okay. The compressor turns. The receiver dehydrator will have to be replaced because it has a desiccant in there. And yeah, you can vacuum pump them and get the moisture out, but they disintegrate and then they contaminate the system it gets through. So you really need to replace that. The condenser shot. I couldn't get a vacuum on the system. It's a York compressor. Maybe you can read the numbers. So it's a period correct system. I am gonna get back to, okay, so if you want to do horse trading, I'll do horse trading. And I have other things too, I'll show you. But I'm going to get these out to the engine rebuilder, get hard valve seats in them. Obviously rebuild the carb, starter, alternator. This pulley will not go with the AC because that drives the power steering also. So I'm just going to have a useless pulley in the front unless you give me a pulley, the correct one for just power steering only. But that's kind of where I'm at. There's the engine. I'll take it apart, completely clean it up. I'll pressure wash it, clean all the oil galleries, hone the cylinders. There's no ring ridge, zero ring ridge. My nail doesn't catch on any of them. So after I hone it, because you take a little off when you hone it, I'll measure the bores, and if they're beyond tolerances, I'll have it rebored. If they're within tolerances, I'll re-ring the pistons. I'll look in the pistons. If all the pistons are good, new rings, new bearings, new oil pump, new timing chain and gears. I'll measure all the cam lobes and check all the lifters, make sure they're all convex. And I'll go over that when I go through the engine. So if the cam's worn or the lifters are worn, or whatever needs to be done is going to get done. If I have to rebore the block, it'll get rebored. It's going to get what it needs to make it right. And then after I get all this restored, I'll have the paint mixed for the engine to the original Ford blue color. So I'll take one of these valve covers and clean it up and take it to the guy that I know that mixes paint really well and have him match it up. In a nice acrylic, single stage acrylic enamel, I'll do the air cleaner up. And I like painting engines. I've painted most of my engines with like single stage acrylic enamel. Here's the 65 283 that I got from some horse trading, and I painted that up with single stage acrylic enamel so gas, gum out, fluids won't damage the paint. And that holds up pretty good with the heat too. I've painted a lot of engines with it, and they've actually held up better than any other paint I've used. On the undercarriage, I'll use Rust-Oleum. I found that is really an excellent paint. The engine compartment, I got 3 gallons of black paint right there that I picked up from a neighbor that was cleaning out his dad's estate. So that's going on the inner fenders and the engine compartment. And it won't be really glossy. I'll flatten it out a little bit. But the engine will be, the car will look better than new when I'm done. And I want to try and keep this video a little not super long. It's got an Atlas headlight, a Ford headlight, and Ford headlights on that side. And the bumpers I might have to have re-chromed because there's a little bit of pitting in the, it just looks kind of funny. Again, salt air. The grill cleaned up nice, that'll be fine. The headlight bezels will probably be okay, but if I could find nicer ones. Same with the taillight bezels. I cleaned up the chrome a little bit, just see what I need to do with it, if I need to replate it or if it's good. But I'd like to, after it's got new paint on it, they're not going to look as good. So if I can find better ones, yeah, I'll do some trading. I got that engine, I got the air conditioning from this car that if somebody wants to trade, I'm open to horse trading. I won't ship the engine. The air conditioner, yeah, I could probably box it up and ship it. It might be a little expensive, but depending on the parts, maybe I'll absorb all the shipping costs. So we'll just go from there on what we can get. Like I say, if I can get all the exterior pot metal, the window regulator, maybe, if you have good levers, this pot metal on the hood, that strip on the hood, I'd like to get a nice one of those. And I'd pay the shipping costs too for everything that, if we horse trade. So keep that in mind. I won't ship that engine though, but I will trade it. The gas tank, and there is some rust in here, and I'll weld that all up, but that neck has just some minor surface rust that wipes off my finger. That stuff in there, I don't know what it is, but it just wipes right off with my finger. And so I'm going to pop the gas, oh, it smells horrid. So I'm going to pop the gas tank out and clean it out, maybe take it to the radiator shop. I'm going to get the radiator and heater core to them this next week. The heads probably this next week, go to the shop. The radiator looks like it was recored at one time. And it's not too cruddy, but I'll have it cleaned and checked out along with the heater core. And like I say, when I go through that, through the engine, you'll go through it with me. I'll do video on it as we rip into it. And the car has, and I think it's original mileage, and all the numbers match on this car. I've been going around it, and all the date codes are pretty close to within a few days of one another. The car has 76,931 miles, and the guy that I bought the car from said the guy that sold it to him told him it was actual mileage and checked actual mileage on the title, and it's checked again, so that is actual mileage. And when you look at, I mean, look at this. Yeah, it's super clean. It's got to be the original mileage. And you know, there's some, this needs some attention, but I think it'll be fine. This plastic could be re-chromed, but maybe I'll take it off and paint it or something, because plastic chrome, well, I'll look into it. See if the guy that I use for the metal parts, if he can do plastic first, I'll take that too, see what it'll cost. Like, I'll take the power booster off, you know, all the stuff will come apart so it can be painted. The more you take it apart, the nicer it looks. I'll put all the, when I get to the body, I'll put all the hood back on, get everything so all the gaps are perfect, you know, and everything's right this way. And the doors, trunk lid, see how the gap's a little tighter there, and then there. It's not much difference, but I can adjust that door enough to where they're even, and it would just look nicer. So I'll try and get all the gaps adjusted on it. All the trim will come off. Fix the hole. There's a hole there, hole in the front of the door. Might have to do a little bit of work on the back of the door. I don't know if I need to repair some of the bottom of the door. It looks pretty good though for the most part. It's only real rust in the door is right there, but I think it's going to have some inner rust too. There's no Bondo there. That's just, this car, I think they just repainted it, and it doesn't even look like they sanded the paint. They just put new paint over the original paint without even sanding it, and that's why it's peeling off. Yeah, they call that gold. Looks green to me, but that's what Ford calls it. And we'll get a new convertible top on it. So hopefully we'll be out cruising by May, let's say, somewhere around in there. So we'll take it for a nice road trip or something this next summer. And I'll get white walls on it and make it look really super pretty. Obviously, I'll have to replace the windshield wiper blades. Baldwin Wallace College Parking Student, 2649. Got to clean all the adhesive from the tape off, and I'll pull all this trim when I go to paint it and buff it out, and all this will come off. It's gonna, you know, I'll have to take the door panels off, and because I want to lubricate everything in them. Take these panels, take the back seat out, and I'll see if there's a build sheet in there when I take it out. Often they're somewhere stashed in the car, either behind a door panel or a quarter panel thing, or under the seat, or usually they jam it somewhere. I have all the receipts, everything I put in this car goes in that envelope, and that way I can keep track of my costs. Very important thing to do, because this is a hobby that I can actually make a little bit of money on too. So that's kind of nice. And, so that it was really, I think I've covered the bases here on what I'm going to do. I'm going to over restore the car. I'm not going to take the body off the chassis. I'm just not going to. To me that ruins the car because then I won't want to drive it. You go to all the work of stripping them down to the bare chassis and rebuilding them, and then you don't want any dust or stone chips or nicks, or you don't want anything. Don't even want to get dirty. What fun is that? I want to take the car out and drive it. And this car isn't like the Catalina with 25,000 miles on it. So yeah, if I put 5,000 or 6,000 miles on it in the summertime, who cares? It's going to have a rebuilt engine, and so it doesn't really matter. And the Catalina, that was an original survivor, and my goal with that car was to keep it as original as I possibly could. And Denny has won first places, I think, about every show he went to, and I have some video and some photos from him from just about a week ago in my email. Maybe I'll attach them to a video, and maybe a couple, 2 or 3 videos, because I know if everyone else is like me, sometimes you get to skipping through videos. Then you miss important parts, and I think some of my commenters do that because they make a comment on something that I might have shown or talked about in the video. But everybody does it. That's life. There's no getting around it. And so again, if you like my video, hit the like button. If you want to see this awesome car come back to life and be resurrected, subscribe to my channel and stay with the videos on it. And thank you for watching my long, boring, babbling video here.